Back on this Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mic, WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN out in Rapid City. Dragon men's basketball team had a tough end of their road trip with trips to Mankato and Winona. Dragons got a split. Anytime you can do that out of those two stops, you're celebrating on the way back home. Especially sweet when you win that Saturday game and driving back after ending a losing streak. As Tim Bergstraser joins us, head coach of the Dragon men. That road trip back from Winona had to feel pretty good, though, right?
Yeah, a 6-hour road trip was a lot better when you're on a high level of energy there, and that pizza tastes a little bit better, and it's all good things. It's crazy how much a win can just set everything else in a good mood. But yeah, I was happy for our group, man. They responded pretty well after a tough loss on Friday.
We'll get to the both games in a second. You got Jameer Price back. I know it's easy to say, well, that's a big deal. I'll ask you, though, how big a deal is it to have him back?
Oh, it's incredible. And I'm just happy for him in general, man. I mean, he's been through a lot here, and it's never easy sitting out that much, especially when it's your last season of college basketball. So to see him back out there, and you just saw just such a big smile on his face. You could just tell there's so much joy of him being back on the floor. And it's fun for us as a staff to see. And then on the other note, he's a dang good basketball player.
Yeah.
So it's just something and it's no discrediting anybody else in our lineup, but it's just something we haven't had. We haven't had just another off the bounce, very quick twitch playmaker like Jameer like that. So just having him in practice last week is just a night and day difference of like it. Now we felt like we could get back to how we were playing before all these injuries. And that's kind of refreshing as a coach when you're trying to get creative and, week by week is something different. But yeah, to see him back on the floor, I mean, he obviously had an incredible weekend. He had 12 assists, 1 turnover, average 19 a game. And I mean, he was exhausted, but he was out there battling. It's hard to take him off the floor in those close games.
This is an obvious question as well, Tim, but with him back, how much does that change your rotation to say, okay, we're close to what I want us to have out there on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said before, we're back to playing how we wanted to start the year, and we haven't had a massive rotation in general since I've been here. I like to play, 7, 8, 9, but when you're getting in those really, really close games, you're playing your guys that you really, really trust and that have been there before. So that gives me a little comfort when we get into these close games like this last weekend. And I mean, I played Carson Johnson 40 minutes, so that shows how much our rotation is. But I mean, when guys are playing well and you could tell that they're feeling themselves on the court, I mean, we try not to mess with that flow too much. But it's I don't want to say it's messed with rotations too much, but it definitely again week by week we've changed something up in our rotation in some factors. So yeah, it's a little annoying, but again, we're not the first ones to deal with this type of situation.
Firsthand how difficult the Taylor Center is to play in Mankato. They're the reigning champs. You go there, you lead for a good portion of this game. Give us the recap of Friday night and how the game finished in Mankato.
Yeah, well, it was one of those games of just trading buckets, and I hate that as a coach because I am a defensive-minded kind of guy and the rebound and the toughness stuff. And I mean, they had two guys in the first half, one of them with the Eagles. Yeah, I think he had 17 or 19 points, and he was hitting some tough shots. But then it came down to us, just our defensive execution and so many slip-ups on switches that allowed these guys to get comfortable. And you know how it is with good high-level scorers. Once they get that first couple shots in, I mean, you got to watch out because that thing's like 5 feet wide at that point. And then going into the second half, and we were still struggling with our switches, and then we got a nice little lead, and then we didn't do a great job of controlling that lead on top of them, hitting some tough shots, but we started turning the ball over. We weren't getting stops. And then near the end of the game, we started missing free throws as well. And then there's a couple 50-50 ball situations in the last 2 minutes. And I really think that decided the game. And obviously there's so many possessions, but like those are really, really big plays that we needed to learn how important they are. So it was unfortunate. Our guys were hurt. I mean, they're obviously trying. I mean, it's not like we're not having a lot of effort and playing hard. So, but it obviously stinks because we feel like we've been in a lot of those close games. I was happy for them to respond the right way the next night.
They're still good, but are they as good as what you saw last year, Mankato?
Yeah, they're so big and athletic and just have scores. I mean, if you catch them on a really hot night, I mean, you got to watch out because they could really fill it up. And it's just with like last year, they just had so many veterans, just older guys that have played at such a high level. I mean, obviously Willingham was an
Oh,
All-American. You had the two guys that transferred from Truman State. They've been to the Elite Eight before. I mean, they just had guys that have been there, and obviously Willingham's brother. So, and like we've all said, when you watch a team without knowing much about them, you could tell like, oh, these guys have played together. Or they've been in these big moments before. I mean, experience is a really big factor when it comes to winning
no
basketball
doubt.
games.
So then the next night, you got to get on a bus and play at Winona, and the threes were falling, obviously, in that 13 threes, which I don't know if that's how you drew it up, how you attack Winona, but when they go in, you don't apologize.
No, not at all. And I kept telling our guys we were due. You always want to think that, and you don't want to keep saying that for months at a time, but I think they were good shots. Obviously, I don't think we're a bad 3-point shooting team. We don't shoot a ton. We make 6 threes a game. We only shoot 17 a game. I would like to shoot a little bit more, and sometimes it depends on who you're playing. And against Winona, they really force you to hit shots. So our guys did a good job being shot ready and knocking them down. And for us to hit 10 in the first half, yeah, I didn't expect that to happen. And you know how some people would say it's fool's gold, and you got to take a step back a little bit. So at halftime, my guys, like, we don't need to come out second half and just start chucking up threes just because we hit 10. Let's still keep working for really good shots. And I knew Winona was going to come back. I mean, they're a dang good basketball team. They got a bunch of high level scores. And the night before against St. Cloud, they're down by double digits, and then in the first 2 minutes of the second half, had the lead. So it's
Yeah.
just we know how the runs go. We know how basketball is. No lead is ever safe. And I was just proud of our guys because one, I was just happy for them to win. And then against Mankato, we didn't handle winning time situation that well, which we're usually pretty good at. And then we're in a way in the same scenarios against Winona, and we did a great job of handling our winning situations. Obviously, it wasn't perfect, but we did a much better job. And you could tell, obviously, these guys are learning. So you need to deal with a lot of failure sometimes in order to get what you're really trying to work for.
We saw a couple highlights of number 20 out there. That's Carson Johnson, your freshman. You mentioned you played him 40 minutes. He scored 24, 9 of 18 from the field. I know we talked a little bit about him last week, but now to see this consistently, has this surprised you now, what he's done out there?
I really don't want to say I'm surprised. I
Uh,
mean, it's impressive. I'm not going to deny that because I mean he's a true freshman. I
yeah.
think we spent what 6 or 7 games now, and he's averaging 19 against a really good basketball teams, and he's um he's just growing every game. So it's really fun, and he's taken a lot of that leadership role. Like just to see where he was before we, pulled his red shirt to him, just he's a vocal leader now with this group, and he's taken just that he's assuming that position. So that's really fun. And he's taken it personal, like those losses that we've had,
Yeah.
and he's played well, but like as a point guard, he's humble enough to just have that mindset of like, hey, these are on me, even though they're not. But that's just how he's wired. I mean, he takes that stuff personal, and he cares about the guys around him, and he wants to do right for them. And but there's a couple times against Winona, it's like I was gonna get a sub for him. Like I had Jameer going it to get Carson, and then he hits like 2 pull-ups, and Jameer looks at me like, "You sure you want me to take him out?" And I was like, "Nah, we'll leave him out there." So he's a good player, man. He's fun to coach. I mean, he's our kind of guy. He wants to win really bad, and he's one of those guys that's constantly looking to get better as an individual, which is obviously going to help our group out.
More mature than his age?
Oh gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's one of those rare breeds that just all around class act individual, and again, he really wants to win. He's not like super outgoing, but he's got a little goofy side to him. But like I could even tell going to that Winona game, like he was just fed up with losing.
Mm.
You could just tell like he really cares, and he was really trying to do whatever it took to get a win.
So now you're back home here for a stretch. You've got Augie and Wayne State coming in. Describe what this weekend can mean. Now you got one to try and string a couple together, especially back home after being on the road for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, any team would say, you try to get some momentum, and we've been looking for just that moment to get some good juju, I guess you want to say, for the team. And it's nice to be back at home. We had a tough little road trip here. That's 2 weekends, but we need to play better at home. I'll say that. And obviously we've had some good teams run through Nemzik, but we need to play a lot better in front of our fans and family. I mean, why not? You need to have all that energy, as much as you can. But Augustana is a dang good basketball team. They're on a nice little run right now. They're playing every single team that they play. It's just a close game. So they got a great winning tradition. They're going to come in, you're looking to take us out, and they're going to play physical or rebound. They have a lot of size and guys that know how to score. And then, after that, it's just another battle. I mean, against Wayne, they're going to have a little bit of a different style, but it's two different styles, of course, but just again, there's no cakewalks at NSSC. It's all the same. There's no breaks. There's no time for us to relax. We just gotta keep having that growth mindset, and our guys have definitely had that right thought. So it's been fun to coach them.
Before I let you go, I know here we are. We're now nearing the end of January. Are you looking at the standings yet, where things are at? Like, okay, this is where we could be when we get to the tournament. Is it too early for that?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, obviously, I look to see where we're sitting at,
Yeah.
but I'm not really thinking, hey, if we win a certain amount of games, and it's just, yeah, I really try to avoid that type of thought process. I'm just with our group right now, we just got to keep showing up every single day and just work and repeat. That's just really all we got to do. And if it leads to us stringing a bunch of wins together, that'd be great. We'll see where we end up at the end of the year, but we really just need to have a day by day process right now. And I really mean it, man. I'm so proud of our guys, and just, I mean, 5 games losing in a row, like, that's tough. And we've been very fortunate to have a lot of winning here since like decade plus, but they kept showing up, they kept working, they kept trying to find ways, like, all right, what do we got to do here to grow as a group and figure things out and just get over the hump. So, I'm just eager to see what we can become, because I really do believe, man, we got a good basketball team and a great locker room full of high class individuals that want to do what it takes to win. So I'm very curious to see where we could be by the end of the year. And I mean, I'm excited, but again, you never know in competition. It's very unpredictable.
On the bus trip, do you pick the movie on the way home? Do you zone out? Are you watching film already when you're heading back?
Well, it's not like the good old days where everybody had to vote on like their DVDs and you put it on back when I was in high school, the coach would have the 3 DVDs in the front, and everybody obviously has their phones now and laptops. And I know everybody was watching the NFL playoffs or some good UFC fights that night as well. But me, I'm sitting up front. I'm just watching my Netflix or whatever it might be. And then I've done a lot. I got a nice, good old fluffy pillow and blanket.
There you
I'll
go.
try to catch an hour nap if I can, but it's very tough when you're 6'6".
And you got 2 little ones waiting for you at home. You're not getting any sleep there.
No, definitely not. But I got a rock star of a wife, and she's been kicking butt with me gone. But yeah, it's I don't really tell people I sleep. It's more so just a bunch of naps throughout the night.
That's about right.
You got 2 little ones, but that's just fine. I love what I got here. I mean, I'm blessed for being a father of 2 little ones.
Congrats on the win. Good luck this weekend. We'll do this again next Tuesday, okay?
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Tim Bergstraser, head coach, MSUM Dragons at home this weekend. As I mentioned, Augie and Wayne State coming in, some good hoops. And Carson Johnson's a dude. You saw him in our highlights there, number 20. He's out there knocking shots down, both against Mankato and against Winona this past weekend. We'll take our final break. We come back, we'll answer our poll question, and we'll get you ready for a busy Sports Tuesday. We got a ton of games going on our channels tonight. We'll tell you all about that when Hot Mike wraps right after this.